It is the fastest growing religion, the most peaceful religion, the most feminist religion in the world and beyond. Oh, I didn't see you there. Hi, this is Apostate Prophet. I was going to talk about the fastest growing religion. Did you know that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world? The solar system, the galaxy, the universe, and everything that is beyond that? Possibly. Of course you do. We are always reminded that it is for some reason. I find it so sad that so many Muslims believe that the world will be Islamic soon. Yes, Islam is, as it currently seems, the fastest growing religion. But why? Because people are converting? Because people are embracing Islam in masses? Is it because people think that Islam is so amazing? Or is it just because the Islamic mentality is just very primitive? There is a difference between these two scenarios. Scenario 1. The Islamic population grows by people turning into Muslims. Scenario 2. The Islamic population grows by reproduction. If we have a look at some of the most credible studies on the growth of religions, Pew Research studies, we see that Islam is indeed the fastest growing religion. It will likely surpass Christianity as the most populous religion in the world, but it won't spread globally. This is because scenario 2 is true, and scenario 1 is not. I hate to break it to so many Muslims who happily go around saying you can talk against Islam as much as you want. Islam is still the fastest growing religion whether you want or not. People are accepting Islam. No. Let's make that very clear. People are not converting to Islam. Muslims just have more babies. In fact, Pew Research estimates that only 0.3% of Islam's growth is due to conversion, which means 99.7% is due to Islam's birth rates and young age. Muslims have more babies than other religious groups. Based on estimations for the period 2015 to 2020, on average, Muslim women have 2.9 children, while Christians have 2.6 children, and non-Muslims in general have 2.2 children. So, Muslims make more babies than other religious groups, and these fertility rates are higher in less developed countries. This, combined with the fact that Muslims have a much lower median age, 24, than other religious groups combined, which is 32, means that Muslim populations grow much more rapidly for simple demographic reasons, not because people convert to Islam, as great as it sounds. Even within the same culture, in Asia or Africa for example, Muslims have higher birth rates than their non-Muslim neighbors down the street or next door. Now we have to add some cultural factors to understand why Muslims make so many babies, why Islam is growing so much. It's not only because many Muslims are in underdeveloped or developing countries. It's also about the Muslim way of thinking, the Islamic lifestyle. If you have ever spent time among Muslims, I'm not talking about single westernized families where people go partying and drinking together. If you have experienced the Islamic world and spent a lot of time with Muslims, you probably know that Muslims look at marriage very early, especially Muslim girls. While others make plans for the next few decades and pursue those plans, while a woman in Europe wants to plan her career and her education and doesn't want to think about things like children and marriage. Even in the most developed Muslim countries, women are considered for marriage very early. In many cultures, they won't even go to any equivalent of a high school. In some cultures, they will finish high school and be connected with suitable men. In other cultures, they still have a chance to finish some college, but then they have wasted enough time, and marriage is long overdue. They can be happy if they actually had the time to meet someone that they can know and understand. Otherwise, they'll end up with one of their cousins, very convenient, perfect to make more babies for the family, or someone that their parents know. With less development and more religiosity, the standards of a woman become more hopeless, and the age of marriage becomes much younger. I have met too many women in a modern country like Turkey alone who didn't have any proper education, who didn't work, who were just looking for a husband, or who did work without any proper education, but they were on the lookout for a good husband. And that while living in a huge city like Istanbul that looks like a very modern city on its surface. Islamic thinking and standards impose a very productive role on the woman. Stay at home, make children. Don't bother about work and education. Men can do that. What's important to add is that every study shows that more developed people make fewer babies. That's also true for Muslims. The more we go into the future, the more the Muslim population growth has a brutal decline and will reach a very slow growth and eventually be in stagnation. So all in all, it looks like this growth is not a very honorable growth, and it only continues as long as Islamic religiosity keeps these cultures back. And Islamic religiosity is in decline. One must certainly be in denial not to acknowledge that. Muslims are becoming less Islamic, less traditional, less focused on the fundamentals of Islam, less proud of what their religion actually teaches, more inclined to claim that their religion was something that it is actually not, because they don't like the actual form of their religion, more convinced that some teachings of their religion were not to be taken literally, not to be followed, or outright not to be taken as authentic, which Islamic fundamentalist revivalist groups have a serious problem with. And this leads us to one more thing I want to address. People who leave Islam, like myself, are becoming more and more a reality that Muslim authorities feel the need to take seriously, to address, and to tackle. Muslim writers take note of people leaving Islam in flocks. They just falsely blame it on extreme versions of Islam. In Turkey, a country I have very much experience with, the number of people who now identify as deist or atheist is growing due to Islamic revivalism. Pew Research shows that the number of Muslims leaving Islam prevents Islam from growing by conversion in America, where more and more people leave Islam and others become less religious. Even The Economist talks about the rising number of ex-Muslims. More and more people join me and tell me that they left Islam. And that's amazing. And what's interesting about all this is that we can't even capture the actual number of people who leave Islam because so many people do it secretly, because they are afraid for their lives or for their family ties or for offending their relatives and friends, their Muslim community, because it's a big taboo. There is no understanding of tolerating and loving you no matter what. This secret rise of ex-Muslims, this unnoticed growth of former Muslims, will result in a future where supposed Muslims will bring forth non-Muslims as children. A bright future. So what we have here is growing Muslim populations in regions, no growth in non-Muslim countries, where without migration waves Islam would still be a minority in 100 years. And more people are leaving Islam secretly or openly. That would merely mean Muslim countries would have much higher populations than developed non-Muslim countries, and in 100 years people would still only care about the Islamic world in mockery or in grief. Now, is this really something to be proud of? Muslims make more babies, therefore Islam is great? How about Islam is heavily bleeding intellectually, and therefore Islam is bad? For now, let me leave you with the fact that Islam is only the fastest breeding religion and a very rapidly bleeding religion. Maybe there are people who are weird enough to find comfort in that. Thanks. If you like this video, don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share. Most of my videos are not monetized, so you can watch everything without ads. If you want to support me, you can support me on Patreon or on apostateprofit.com so we can make more together. I'll be back soon again. For now, have a great day. And stay away from Islam.